When it comes to calisthenics, a lot of the exercises look really impressive, and the reason for that is, well, they are very much impressive, take a lot of strength and control to perform. However, there are a handful of exercises that look way more impressive than they are hard, and today we're going to check out some of them so you can bust out some advanced looking moves whenever you feel like it, boosting your morale and adding a touch of fun to your workout. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Now, one of these easier to perform exercises is the crow pose or the frog stand. Open palms, hand on the ground, keeping your knees in full contact with your armpits. All you want to do is raise up on your tiptoes, bringing your shoulders right above your hands, and then twisting your shoulders into external rotation. All we need to do from here is bend in our elbows slowly until our feet start raising from the ground, and then we can pull them in. Now, what's really helpful when you're practicing this is using some sort of block or elevation and starting out with your head on those blocks. Over time, you can start raising and reversing, raising and reversing. And this exercise, even though it looks like it takes a lot of strength, 90% of this exercise is just about balance. And when it comes to balance, slowing down the movement and adding as much surface area as you can will make it so much easier to practice. So slow down your roll, extend, bend, and move forward, almost as if you were doing it in slow motion. Now, the next one is usually exaggerated when it comes to its difficulty, not because it is super hard, but because most people don't understand that there are some tiny adjustments you can make to make this exercise very easy to replicate. Now, the starting position for the pistol squat is a seated one with extended legs and upper body. I've talked about this many times. Stay with me, don't leave. Pulling in your leg, elevating your butt, extending, reversing, and sitting down all the way into our starting position before you move on to the second repetition. But what if you do not have the necessary flexibility and strength to perform this exercise? If you use any sort of elevation for your heel, not your toes, your heel, like so, and start in a standing position, not only will you require much less strength and flexibility to lower down into this position and to reverse, but you can also start working on it until you develop the necessary mobility. The further you elevate your heel and the more slanted the ground is, the easier it will be for you to lower down. And if you want to make it even easier because you maybe are too weak in your anterior chain, then elevating your entire body and your heel will give you all the necessary space to lower down all the way without your other foot touching the ground. And over time, you will become stronger in your hip flexors and your quads to pull up and keep it parallel to the ground. And once you have that, now it's very easy to move lower. Work on it once again from a standing position, and over time, you will be able to sit down all the way and start like you are supposed to start when it comes to the pistol squat. Please try and learn this one because, believe me, it is not as hard as it looks, but it is very much an impressive exercise if you master it. Now, this next one will be admittedly a tiny bit harder, but we've already done the preliminary work with the crow pose, and if you can master this one, it looks so much more impressive than the last two exercises. And the two things where most people struggle with this one is wrist mobility as well as posterior chain strength, and that would be the classic elbow lever. Once again, hands on the ground, you want as much surface area as possible. Open up, external rotation in those rotator cuffs. Now we're gonna move forward, push your hips down, keep your arms extended, put your elbows on your tummy or even lower around your hip flexors, and start moving forward until your feet raise from the ground and keep your posterior chain fully flexed. And the tiniest bonus for this exercise is laying down on your ground and working that posterior chain as hard as you can with as long a range of motion as you can. Put those legs up as high as possible. Raise those arms up as high as possible. And you can do the swimmer, you can do the Superman, whatever floats your boat. until you're perfectly fine with holding all the tension in your posterior chain. Now for this exercise, we're gonna have to move on to a slippery surface, and I would recommend doing this exercise with socks because that's gonna make it a lot easier not to hurt yourself. This is called a Russian push-up. However, we will add the slightest twist to this exercise, focusing a little bit more on upper body strength and posterior chain flexibility, because for one, you're gonna need that to practice the pistol squat, and second, on this channel we focus more on holistic exercises, and the more aspects we can add to a single exercise, the better it will be for efficiency. And to do that, we are going to switch from this push-up position up into a pike or forward fold position before we reverse and repeat the entire movement again. Now, if you've paid attention, you will have noticed that the flexibility required for our posterior chain is also very much dependent on our core strength. And like any other push-up variation, we have an insane amount of arm inclusion, building a nice triceps and even our biceps, because we are adding this pulling motion as well. Now this moves us back to our upper body balance exercises, and we have already laid two foundations for this upcoming exercise, and that would be the crane pose, with the only difference between the crane and the crow being a lot of spinal rotation. So instead of starting out like so, we will close those legs all the way and turn our upper body sideways. Once again, we want to have as much surface area as possible, so spread those fingers out, and we want to place our quads right on our elbows or slightly higher on our triceps, because now all we need to do from here is once again shift our body weight closer to the side until our feet raise from the ground. And if this looked easy to you, fear not, it actually is. Once again, most of this exercise is about balance, and almost none of it is about strength. Stay with me, we're not done yet. Trust me, you're gonna wanna see this. Not only do we have a lot of benefits from working on our spinal rotation and adding core rotation and core strength as well, but we're also strengthening those wrists so we can jerk off as much as we want, whenever we want.
Stop it. Get some help.
We're also building a lot of forearm strength through this balancing act, and this one is just a bonus for my advanced people out there. Once you have practiced this and once you feel comfortable in it, you can start extending your legs, which is going to require a little bit more mobility, a little bit more strength, and a little bit more balance, but looks even more impressive. And now, the crème de la crème, my favorite calisthenics exercise in London, has been blown out of proportion so much because while it does look difficult and while there is a progression to it, it is actually one of the easier calisthenics exercises. And that, my friends, is the overhand wide grip latissimus dominant classic pull-up variation. While this one does require a lot of strength and a little bit of coordination, the progression to get there is very linear. And I've already done a complete video on this, not just that, but how to advance when it comes to pull-ups in general. You can check it out and go through it step by step if you want to, and trust me, if you start working on this regularly, it is so much easier than most people make it out to be. Now, I think you have enough exercises to work on, so you can get to it. With that said, sadly, once again, that's all the time I have left for you today. However, if you liked the video, like the video and subscribe. And please, guys, check out other videos on this channel, because we literally, and I mean literally, have new ones every single day, which means that we'll see you guys tomorrow. Captain Cairo, peace out.